Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going somewhere pretty profound, I think. We're exploring the mystical side of sound, music, vibration, really getting into its universal significance. And we're drawing a lot from the Sufi teacher Hazrat Inayat Khan.
Right. And the real task for you listening in is maybe to uh, shift your perspective a bit, to try and see music not just as, something nice to listen to or even just art. We're looking at this older, much more radical idea that music is actually the fundamental law behind everything, the universe, the human soul, all of it.
It's a huge claim, this idea that music is the exact miniature of the law working through the whole universe.
Yeah.
That definition changes everything.
It really does, because if harmony and beauty are the key, then, well, think about architecture. A perfectly balanced building, that's music.
Okay.
Or a garden, where everything just works together beautifully. That harmony is music. Painting, too, if it captures that divine symmetry, that inspiration. Basically, any activity where that kind of divine inspiration flows, it becomes musical. It's expressing that universal law.
I like that. It sort of pulls music out of just the concert hall and makes it part of reality's fabric. Which leads us to the origin point, doesn't it? If music is the law, then sound, vibration, that must be the blueprint.
Absolutely. And this isn't just one tradition saying this, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
We find it in the Vedas, the Bible. The idea that creation starts with sound, vibration, movement. The Hindus call it Nada Brahma sound, the creator.
First was the word.
Exactly. First was the word, and the word was God. That initial vibration, that pure state, that's the source everything else comes from.
Okay, so if everything starts from sound, from this formless vibration, how does the soul, which is also meant to be free and formless, how does it end up, well, stuck in a physical body?
There's a beautiful Eastern legend about that.
Yeah.
About creation. So the story goes, God makes man from clay, right? And then tells the soul, okay, get in. But the soul refuses. It looks at the body and sees a prison. And its nature is absolute freedom. It hates being confined.
Makes sense. So what convinced it? Obviously, it got in there eventually.
Well, God then commanded the angels to sing. And as this celestial music starts playing, the soul is just overcome, intoxicated by the beauty of the sound. And in that state of ecstasy, it willingly enters the body.
Wow.
The point of the legend is powerful. It suggests the soul only agrees to this captivity in matter for one reason, to experience the music of life. And through that experience, to eventually understand its own nature, its own song.
So the body isn't just a cage, it's more like an instrument. And its very function depends on rhythm.
Precisely. Rhythm is life. Your pulse, your heart beating, your breath going in and out. It's all rhythmic work. Life depends on it. You can't have any kind of sustained motion or life without rhythm, that blend of movement and regularity.
Yeah, you feel that in your own body. But you mentioned earlier that for some mystics, music is actually seen as superior to, say, external religious forms. Why? Aren't things like prayer also using sound and rhythm?
That's a really good question. The key difference is form. You see, many religious practices use structure, symbols, dogma, forms. They're meant to guide the mind. But the soul, especially in its deepest yearning, is searching for the formless, the absolute, God beyond definition. And music. Well, music is inherently formless, isn't it? It exists in the flow, the vibration, not in static things. So it's seen as a more direct path to connect with that formless reality.
Like a vibrational shortcut to the divine.
You could say that. For those who are, as the texts say, tuned to that pitch, it lifts the soul higher, potentially, than external forms can, because its very essence is spiritual, vibrational.
That really changes the whole point of engaging with music then. It's not just for fun or even just aesthetic pleasure. The real aim, according to Inayat Khan, is to become musical yourself in your thoughts, words, actions.
Yes. And this is where it gets really practical. The sources are very clear. All tragedy, all suffering in the world, whether it's personal or collective, it stems from a lack of harmony. So the most fundamental spiritual work isn't necessarily out there somewhere. It's right here. It's about creating harmony in your own life first, tuning your own instrument to resonate with the cosmos.
Okay, let's dig into the mechanics of that. How do we produce sound that impacts harmony? The standard view is lungs, vocal cords.
Right, the materialist view.
Yeah.
But the mystic sees it differently, deeper. For the mystic, sound starts in the soul. A feeling arises that plumps a thought in the mind, and then to make that thought tangible, to give it power, we speak it. And the moment it's spoken, articulated, its power increases massively. It becomes concrete.
The sources give some simple examples, right? Like someone holding back grief.
Exactly. You can feel immense sadness inside, totally contained. But the moment you start saying how sad you are, you might just burst into tears. The spoken word unlocks it.
Or telling a joke.
Same thing. You think of the joke, but it's when you actually tell it, voicing the words, that you often start laughing yourself. The sound makes the thought real, tangible. And that power connects right into how the universe works. Subtle vibrations, spirit, thought, they become denser, grosser through action. They eventually become matter. So every single word we speak is fundamentally either building something or, well, tearing something down.
Wait, so every sentence is literally constructing or deconstructing the reality around us, invisibly.
That's the core idea, yes. Each word creates these invisible forms in the space around you, harmonious forms or discordant ones. And that creates an atmosphere. You feel it around people, don't you? This extends to a really fascinating concept called the muwakkals, elementals.
Muwakkals, okay, that sounds pretty esoteric. What are they?
Think of them as living thought forms, energies created by really intense, focused feelings and thoughts. The tradition says these elementals are literally alive, and they work either for you or against you. So if you're constantly cultivating, say, gratitude, you're creating elementals that attract positive things. If you're stuck in resentment, well, you create disruptive ones. And the great spiritual masters, they were said to be able to consciously create and even control these beings using the power of focused sound.
That puts a lot more weight on just talking, which brings us back to the voice itself. It's described as a kind of barometer of the spirit, right?
It really is, like an internal weather report made audible. The quality of your voice directly expresses the spirit inside. A soft, compassionate spirit, usually a soft voice. A hard, rigid spirit, often a harsh voice. It reflects your spiritual progress, your internal climate.
And the texts make a point of saying the speaking voice reveals this more than the singing voice. Why is that?
Well, singing is often an artifice, isn't it? It involves training, technique, learning to shape the voice, maybe mask its natural quality for effect. It's a skill, and it can hide the underlying spiritual state. But your everyday speaking voice, the unguarded one, that's much harder to fake. It tends to reveal the true tuning of the person inside.
Given all this power attributed to sound, it's no wonder the ancients used it for deep spiritual work.
Oh, absolutely. Look at the Sufi practice of Sambuse. That's sacred music, sometimes dance too. Or in yoga, there's mantra yoga, using dhikr, the repetition of sacred sounds or phrases. The goal wasn't just listening enjoyment. It was a kind of spiritual science, unfolding the soul, opening up intuition, aiming for perfection.
And this science was incredibly detailed, especially in ancient India with the ragas.
The system of ragas is just mind-blowing. It was based entirely on vibration and its connection to cosmic cycles, even astrology. Every single raga, every note structure corresponds to a specific planet, a color, a natural pitch found in the universe. They weren't just musical scales, they were vibrational formulas, meant to be used only at specific times of day or specific seasons.
So the source mentions that if you hear, say, a morning raga played late at night, you'd feel uncomfortable. Why? What's actually happening there?
You're essentially experiencing cosmic static. Your body, your whole being, is naturally tuned to the vibration of that moment, midnight, maybe deep and restful. Then suddenly, this bright, energetic morning raga sound hits you. Your inner system immediately feels the mismatch. The external sound is out of sync with the universal rhythm of that time.
Friction.
Exactly. Vibrational friction. And even an ordinary person perceives that as feeling, well, disagreeable, off.
That kind of precision really pushes sound beyond art into, well, medicine. It makes sense that ancient medicine would use rhythm and tone for health.
It was fundamental. Music wasn't just for enjoyment. It was used to heal the mind, to balance character, to soothe the soul. But, and this is really important, there's a cautionary tale here. It shows you need knowledge to wield this power effectively.
Ah, the story about the Maharaja of Baroda.
That's the one. This Maharaja, he understood music could heal. Good intentions. So he brought singers into the hospitals in his state. But here's the crucial mistake. He hired technically skilled traditional singers. They knew the ragas, sure, but they weren't trained in the specific vibrations needed for healing specific ailments. They just performed their usual repertoire.
And the result wasn't healing.
It was the opposite. Disaster. The music, beautiful as it might have been technically, wasn't tuned to what the individual patients needed. It just agitated them, made their suffering worse. They apparently got far more ill.
Wow.
The lesson is profound. Healing with music isn't about playing just any nice tune. It demands precise knowledge. You need to know exactly which rhythm, which tone addresses the specific disharmony in that person. General music can be useless or even harmful without that specific tuning.
And the instrument capable of that kind of precision,
Yeah.
that's the vena.
The Veena, yes, said to be invented by Shiva himself. It's considered perfect because it can replicate this cosmic precision. Specifically, the Saraswati Veena version associated with Parvati can produce microtones.
Microtones.
Yeah, the tiny intervals between the standard notes we use in Western music, they're crucial for capturing the subtle vibrations of nature. They make the music incredibly rich, incredibly potent, but mastering them scientifically, that takes a lifetime.
So as we kind of bring this exploration of applied vibration towards a close, there's one sound, one word that stands out above all others for mystics.
Yes, the word Hu, H-U. It's described as the natural name of God, the nameless one. Mystics believe it's the sound underlying everything. It's whispered by the wind, the water, sung by animals and birds. It's the spirit within all sounds. It's even considered the primordial word mentioned in the Bible, existing before light itself. It's the sound of pure being.
And the way to connect with that power, the power of who in creation itself, is through repetition. Practices like Diker, that sounds like more than just chanting.
Oh, it's much more. It's described as a kind of deep psychological, even spiritual engineering. It's a process of actively forgetting the false self, the ego, all our conditioning by engraving truth onto your deepest being. So you repeat a divine quality like kindness or patience, or a sacred name like Hu. You do it consistently with focus. And gradually the essence of that word starts to permeate your soul, become part of you.
That sounds like it could manifest almost anything, a huge power.
It is. And that's exactly why the sages gave their strongest warnings about it. They said using this secret, this power of sound and repetition, just to gain worldly things, money, status, whatever, it's like paying out pearls to buy pebbles. A total waste of potential. Because the time and energy spent chasing the temporary is lost for achieving real, lasting spiritual connection.
So if this whole path is about finding harmony, tuning into that ultimate sound, who, and escaping the discord that causes suffering, what's the final takeaway? The thing for listeners to really grapple with?
Well, interestingly, the biggest obstacle, according to these teachings, it might be what we already know, or think we know. We tend to cling so tightly to our ideas, our beliefs, our intellectual frameworks. We identify with them. Our minds are just full of noise, constant chatter, and that noise drowns out the subtle, continuous vibration of Hu.
So the challenge is to become an empty cup.
This is the classic metaphor, yes. Real spiritual progress often requires this profound act of unlearning. You have to be willing to empty out your own certainties, your judgment, all that mental clutter, to really see clearly, with two eyes, as they say, recognizing life's duality, but always looking for the unity behind it. When you can look at something or someone and just quiet your internal commentary, maybe find the good in someone you previously judged. That's unlearning, that's silence, that's space you create. That's where true mystical understanding begins. So the challenge isn't just to learn more, it's to unlearn the noise you're already carrying.